Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Tonight, we take you to the Douala 5 subdivision where a man is under police custody for raping several minors in the said locality. The locality is in Bange, where several kids have been taken to the hospital as a result of the situation. We shall be telling you more in this edition of the news. Also ahead, we tell you about kids in Sabongari, a locality in Nwa subdivision in the Ndonga Mantung Division Northwest region of the country that have not been to school since the Anglophone crisis escalated. They are calling on the head of state to do something about the situation. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the primetime newscast on Equinox Television. The situation has left inhabitants of Mbange in the Douala 5 subdivision in shock and consternation. A man in his 30s that has allegedly raped several minors in the locality. He lured the kids with sweets and other gadgets before getting his way. Sumanjikan Gabriel traveled to that locality here in the economic capital Douala and brought back this report.
Young girls in the Mbange neighborhood of the Douala 5 municipality can now happily run around their vicinity once again. This is because their nightmare is now over after a certain man named Wat, who lived in this room, was arrested recently by the forces of law and order. Wat, who has been like an angel in the Bange neighborhood, was simply a disguise. It was in abandoned houses and uncompleted apartments that Wat had been raping female minors for several years now. And every parent of Wat's victim had a story to tell. My daughter told me that he called her to come get a sweet after she went on an errand. When she came, she dragged her inside and threatened her with a knife. After he was done, he gave her 4 sweets and warned her never to tell anyone. Apart from carrying out his devilish acts in hidden places, he succeeded in getting the kids of his neighbor into his house. Thursday, very early after I left for work, my phone rang and I was informed I had a nearby neighbor who has been sexually harassing young children. When I arrived, my daughter told me that he once called her and they had done it twice, and the second time it was in his own house.
Voici ma porte ici, la voici. Et voici la porte du voisin. Elle est juste face à face avec ma porte.
According to this other neighbor, Wat claimed not to have known what came over him.
Lui, il nous a fait comprendre qu'il est comme ça. Il ne sait pas ce qui arrive.
He adds that it was magical powers he got that is now making him to have the urge.
Que depuis ce temps-là, quand lui il reste comme ça, quand un truc le prend sur son corps, s'il ne couche pas un enfant ou bien s'il ne met pas la main dans le vagin d'une petite fille, il ne peut pas, son corps ne peut pas cesser.
As the inhabitants of Mbange continue to regret for misjudging the quietness of Wat, justice has taken its course as Wat is now languishing in the prison.
Hoping that justice, of course, is going to take its course. Now we visit Sabongari, a locality in Nwa subdivision, Ndonga Mantung, northwest region of Cameroon, which is plagued with underdevelopment. Kids have not been able to go to school since the socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and the southwest regions of the country escalated. Details in this report.
The government will do something. You want to go back to school.
The request of youths in Sabongari, Nwa subdivision, Donga Mantung Northwest region of Cameroon, to the President of the Republic. They have not been able to go to school for 2 years now since the Anglophone crisis escalated. A head teacher in Nwa subdivision evaluates the school year so far and says how her institution has been affected by the crisis.
The crisis have actually affected my school this year. In the past, I usually have about close to 400 pupils, 371 actually. But this time around, because of the fear that parents have nurtured, the children have nurtured, a day comes you don't even have a child. Some days you have about 10, some you have 20. The highest number that I recorded this academic year was about 55, which is not up to half the population. I'm not happy with the situation because
she is preoccupied with the future of the children. As the crisis deepens, the more parents would not want to send their children to school.
I just look at the future of the children. I don't know where they are leading to. So this crisis is really worrying in this community. I know out there schools are going up despite the crisis, but here a lot of fear has covered the parents that they don't really have the free mind to send their children out there.
The chiefs and local authorities have sensitized parents, but the situation has not changed.
I've gone to the palace to talk with the chief, the notables, to see how we can sensitize parents, because at times in the churches we find around, they don't even give you a chance to talk about school. So we mostly use the traditional authorities to see how they can follow up in the quarters to bring children. Even you call for PTA meetings, the parents too, they are scared, they are never coming. So,
besides the devastating consequences of the crisis in the school milieu, Sabongari is underdeveloped. The road has never been tarred, no electricity in the village, and potable water absent. And of course, in our subsequent newscast, we shall be presenting to you the locality of Sabongari and other neighboring villages in Kambe, Donga Mantung division of the Northwest region of Cameroon. Now, the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism has tabled to the head of state the desire of the English-speaking population in Cameroon for federalism to be discussed at the national level. It is one of the major fallouts of the Listen to the People mission that was carried out by the Peter Mafani Musonge-led commission in Bamenda. In the following report, we are going to be questioning whether it would be possible for dialogue on the form of the state to be initiated when the government has always preached decentralization in Cameroon as a solution to the Anglophone crisis. In January 2017, after the government banned the consortium of Anglophone civil society, the government was categorical that the form of the state is not negotiable. The message was re-echoed throughout the year amidst persisting calls for dialogue. And on December 31, 2017, the head of state said that the plight of the people has been listened to and that the decentralization process, which has existed for 2 decades, would be hastened. More than 19 months after the Anglophone crisis escalated, the need for a national debate on the federal system of government has been brought before the head of state by government officials. It is one of the proposals presented to the Bilingualism Commission to bring a speedy end to the ongoing Anglophone crisis. The population of Bamenda also wants the President of the Republic to revisit the history of Cameroon and reorganize a frank, sincere and inclusive dialogue between the government and Anglophones, including the diasporans. In the final communique after the Listen to the People mission, the population urged the government to provide an enabling environment for internally displaced and refugees in neighboring Nigeria to safely return to their respective homes. The need for the terrorism law to be repealed, infrastructural development hastened, were equally highlighted. Another proposal taken to Yaoundé is for the President of the Republic to grant amnesty to those in jail or on exile in connection with the crisis and the possibility to Cameroonians abroad to have double nationality. Amongst the dozens of proposals is a clarion call for the head of state to visit the region and address what they described as his children. And the fight against the production, sale and use of non-biodegradable plastic is still to be intensified across the national territory more than 2 years after it was initiated by the government of Cameroon. So far, some students here in the country's economic capital Douala are devising other means to get rid of non-biodegradable plastics as well as bottles. It is on the sidelines of the International Environment Day or the World Environment Day that's been commemorated today across the national territory. Franklin Mwabe tells us more in this report.
Despite the ban placed by government in April 2014 through the Ministry of Environment, Nature Protection and Sustainable Development, banning importation, production and sale of non-biodegradable plastics, variety of these plastics still inundate the country. Control team are unable to win the war against the use of these plastics. While many use plastic bags, nylons and bottles and dispose them just anywhere, students of government bilingual school Leon Brazzaville pick them up, recycle them for decoration and transform them to useful items. During the celebration of World Environment Day, Tuesday, June 5, at Place de Government in Bonanjo, Douala, these students displayed their creativity via the management of non-biodegradable plastics that are harmful to the environment.
We have what is called manual labor, and during this period we exercise the students to valorize those useless plastic bottles. To do it, this is, for example, one of them. You see inside here you have plastic bottle inside, and every student can make it as his own way, as his own creativity. That's what we want to enhance in the student.
The use of these plastics by these students help in creating awareness, as its byproduct is very much in use. The handwork from plastics does not only help in cleaning the streets, but also serves as a means of bringing equality in society.
Secondly, socially, a student from poorer background can be a pencil holder. When he just have a zip or reuse the plastic bottle to have his pencil holder, the order from rich background will go to the supermarket or hypermarket to buy his. And both in the school, in the classroom, will be pencil holders.
Celebrating the 2018 edition of World Environment Day in Cameroon under the theme Beat Plastic Pollution, everyone is invited to emulate the example of Leon students in order to fight the pollution in a more creative way.
To make jewelry box, we have a bottle, a small bottle of juice or of water. We cut it round. After that, we make it. We make a design straight. After that, we come the design out. We bend it like that so that it can make a heart. After that, we cut a small one again to make the same thing as hard to make the cover.
It is worthy of note that World Environment Day was set aside by the United Nations in 1974 to encourage countries of the world to protect the environment.
And on the sidelines of the day, we take you now to the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Boya to talk about water scarcity. Children have to cover long distances just to get the precious liquid. Let us take a look at the day-to-day ordeals of young children, especially students and pupils, with Derek Jato.
This is what pupils in most primary schools in Cameroon go through on daily basis at school. Trekking for kilometers, hunting for water at least to quench their thirst. We are in Kombe, a village in Banga subdivision, littoral region of the country. It is another day, and the heat of the day will not even stop this class 1 child, Little Favor, and her mate to embark on a close to 1 hour mission for drinking water. Spending quality time they could have been learning, braving their way through thick bushes, and with them, their teacher.
Well, actually, it's not really an easy task because even all the teachers at times when we come to tap water, it's very strenuous. At times we have to carry water from our houses and bring. And the water that we bring from our houses will not be able to carry us the whole day. So we are really facing a problem of water in this our community. And like you have seen for yourself, to trek from our school to come right to this place is not really an easy thing.
As Cameroon joined the rest of the world to celebrate the World Environment Day, critics say there is a need for authorities to shape the environment to be conducive for these future leaders. Though help recently came to Faith Foundation Nursery and Primary School from Community Empowering Movement for a Responsive Society, SEMRES, an unexpected source. But hundreds of such institutions are still without water. And inaugurating this borehole project, Mr. Vo Armstrong, Divisional Officer from Mbanga Subdivision, called on the entire Kombe community.
The children and the students, the pupils of Faith Foundation must take good care of this project. The population of Quarter 4 must ensure that this project should not fall into disuse. It should be a project that should be permanent. And I want to give a firm warning, and I'm passing it through the chief of Kombe village, that this particular project should never in any single day suffer any malfunction.
To Mr. Rene Mofo, the president of SEMRES, there can never be a meaningful community development without water.
Water for Cameroon is a Dutch phrase meaning water for Cameroon. It is specifically designed to address the basic water needs of the rural people in rural communities in Cameroon. Access to water is not only a basic need of mankind, but a necessity for sustainable development.
And it is their vision to provide water, especially in rural communities.
That is Derijato. The reporting will travel to Mbanga, Mongo division of the littoral region of Cameroon. A brief note in sports before we take you to the second part of this newscast. Coton Sports of Garwa has maintained the leadership position on the professional football, Elite 1 football classification table despite their nil-nil draw with the Union Sportive of Douala during the 23 match as far as the League 1 Championship is concerned. For the other matches that took place in stadia across Cameroon, we had Fruitio FC defeated Yaoundé Football Club 1-0. Unisports of Bafang bowed to Astro Football Club of Douala 0-2. And for the other matches, they would be taking place, or they took place across the weekend in Cameroon. So far, Coton Sports of Garwa is leading the classification table with 48 points. Second, UMS of Lum 40 points. 36 points for Young Sports Academy of Bamenda. Those relegated are Colom with 22, Aigle Royal of Menua 20 points, and Yafut 20 points. They're bringing us to the end of this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Points. Stay with us. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you so much for joining us tonight in this second segment of the news. We have been joined by Barrister at Law, who is a supporter of the CPDM political party, Barrister ACHU, Julius. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi. Pleasure is mine coming here today.
The pleasure is ours as well. Now we are going to be talking about the Bilingualism Commission that has listened to the people of Bamenda Northwest region of Cameroon. Amongst the various proposals that they have taken so far to Yaoundé, to the head of state, to be more precise, is the issues concerning federalism to be examined at the national level. What is your take as far as that is concerned?
My first problem is that I don't know how some document meant for the head of state has now become common knowledge in the country. It means that commission has a problem. Secondly, this is because once the head of state had manifested the good intention of creating such a commission, those who made the laws around it created a commission which is like a bulldog without any teeth in the mouth, because he can only back and he can never bite. So it's only meant to come and say, listen, prepare their report and send to the head of state. That defeats the purpose of even creating such a commission, first of all. Secondly, I don't believe that is the modus operandi of such a commission. They were supposed to have sent persons of high credibility, right even to the bushes, to meet those who are in the bush, to come and ask them what is the problem, what should we do to stop what is going on, rather than calling people in the crowd with TV cameras to come and all what is in their mind, because there's this fear factor which is in that region that everybody's scared of. Nobody wants to say something will go out online for there to be repercussions on his family members or himself. So this commission ought to have, first of all, send people of high integrity. I send peacemakers, peace brokers who have some credibility, who are known to go to the ground, meet those guys who are on the ground first.
If you have been following the activities of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, created more than 1 year ago, you would realize that they have been to the southwest region of Cameroon and other parts of the northwest region since it was created, to listen to the people, go closer to the people, and get possible solutions on how to address the crisis.
That's what I'm saying. You cannot come and sit in the hall.
This is not the first time.
Yeah, you cannot come and sit in the hall.
Regions.
You invite people to come, and you ask them to say what they have in their mind. It's not possible. They are supposed to send mediators to the ground to meet people on individual basis, because we know those who are on the ground who can affect the lives of the people who are in the bushes. We know that there are some people in the bushes whom you meet and talk to them, they might come to reason or you can understand why they are in the bushes. If you don't do that, all this talk, to me, it's just a waste of time.
The previous time when the Bilingualism Commission toured around some of these regions hit by the socio-political crisis for close to 2 years now, the question asked by several Cameroonians were, what has the Commission been doing so far? How could they visit these regions without producing results or even report on what they were able to collect from the field as far as the various problems are concerned? Now we have the problems. They have tabled, they have brought down the various proposals and they are tabling it to the President of the Republic. Amongst them is this question of federalism that was like a taboo subject to the government several months back, especially when this crisis began. Is this not a significant development as far as this crisis is concerned?
No, I don't share that view, because going through the report, I didn't see anything new. That never been talked about.
The Commission has never talked about it. Most of the members of the Commission are big wigs or officials of the current regime. They have never talked about the federalism. For the first time, many people are saying that it is an innovation. Don't you think so?
I don't see it like that, because first of all, the Commission is supposed to be some sort of a secretariat where things just come in and go to the person who's supposed to handle it. Whatever they are supposed to produce is not supposed to be common knowledge. But it's not common knowledge, it means that they are just useless. There's something wrong. It's not supposed to be common knowledge.
So it has to be private.
It has to be
until
private
when solutions,
until when the head of state has read it, and that's when something can come out of it, because only the head of state can decide. In any case, to me, it is not coming to a hall to talk about these things that can get a solution. You should go where it matters. I would think that one day the Commission should go down to Lebialem to meet those guys in the bush. I should think that one day they should go to Sabongari, where it is hot. They should go to Manu. They go to Mafe, where it is hot. Meet those guys and say, look, this is the time for talking is over. We have now understood that there's some sort of crisis.
Who are those guys? Are you talking about the civilians? Are you talking about those that have been brandished by the government as secessionists or terrorists? Who are the guys?
Me, personally, I've not brandished anybody anything, but I'm just saying that whatever you like, it is tried knowledge that there's some crisis. And whenever there's a crisis, what you look for are solutions. You don't look for petrol to ignite the fire, to put it into the fire for it to blow. So how can you come and sit in the hall and talk about it and get versions from different persons who are scared of the fear factor, and you think now what they are saying is true, and you take it and you think that you've done something? To me, they've done nothing. If they continue that way, nothing will happen until we meet those who matter. And I always said it, there are people who know those who matter. The churches know those who matter. There are peace brokers in this country that we know, like somebody like Barrister. I know somebody who goes to the ground.
But he has been making a series of outings.
Yes.
The church has met a good number of proposals.
Nothing is changing.
Nothing is changing. So who are you blaming here? Nothing is changing.
For going that, because that's where the solution is. Because when once the head of state has given you the powers. It's only you who can talk. What somebody like Barrister is doing is personal initiative. He said, look, I'm a peace broker, let me broker peace. He's been going down to the field, to those dangerous areas. I recommend him because that is what everybody expects.
Do you think the government is listening to him? Looking at the way the situation is escalating on the ground.
I've always said that our problem is...
It is boiling. You said it.
It's not even the civil servants to whom authority has been given are mismanaging it. And that's why we have this crisis. That's where the problem is. The civil servants that we have in this country don't love this country. So whenever you give them an assignment, just know it's going to come with broken legs. And that's where the problem is. It's only the private sector that can now make this country look good and better. If they don't have trust in the private sector, well, it will still continue because civil servants like this go for before for back. Because they are trained for one thing, to listen to the hierarchy. But such a thing needs somebody with a liberal mind, an open mind, who is not scared to tell you, yes, to tell you the color of your dress. So we need some people, more people like that. Like as I said, Barrister, we need people like him to do it. I'm not.
But he's member of the Bilingualism Commission.
Yes, I'm not. I don't think he's working under the auspices because going to where he's been going, as I know, I think it's not under the auspices of the Bilingualism Commission that is operating. Because you see, I like things which are practical. When you see somebody doing something good, talk about it. It's not because I know him now, the president, but I've seen what he's doing and I've been party to it at one certain point in time. But you see, when once we have a crisis, talking like this instead ignites it because it will go like this and it will be like as if you have thrown water on the deck's back. And the people get very, very angry and you have a multiplier effect. What I still suggest is that rather than this talking in big halls, please go to the field, go to the ground.
So the Bilingualism Commission should go to the ground,
go to the ground and get the
affected locally. Now,
yes.
The management of the Anglophone crisis so far by the government, what is your evaluation, Barrister?
My evaluation is that the government is not handling it well because they are using the wrong persons to be. If you get civil servants to do this thing, it will be more that they can't handle it. Because you should understand that the crisis came from the private sector. And most of the guys involved in the private sector have liberal minds. You can only talk to a liberal mind for him to understand you better. If you send civil servants, they will go with their imposing or authoritative manner to talk about simple problems which can be solved with the left hand. All of us know who don't know what the Anglophone crisis is. Everybody knows. So what we want is solution and not talking. And to get those solutions, we must start by mediation. You must send mediators to the field. To first of all, to know who can be talked to and to know what their problems are. I can bet you, the day they go to the field, they realize that all what has been written on a piece of paper is not the same. What they are thinking about. And by so doing, what the hell, what was the reason having a meeting in a big hall? Because by the time you meet those people, and who are known, and who are involved, you realize that things will be different. Because what they're going to tell you is not what is going to be written on this piece of paper. It will be much more than that. I can guarantee you that.
Now, Barrister, a few days ago, since you are equally somebody of the legal system in Cameroon, Mancho, BBC and other detainees of the Anglophone crisis were sentenced by the military tribunal in the nation's capital. What is your reaction?
My reaction is that the justice has followed its course. But you see, in such things, I was a lawyer in it, so normally I'm not supposed to talk about it in the public. But you should understand that things that have political connotations or resemble political issues are sorted out at a certain level. It's not sorted out even at the level of you and me. When the head of state decided to do a monole prosequi, ask for a monole prosequi, that is to arrest prosecutors against certain persons, it is his discretion. You see, when these things have those connotations, it is only he's the only person who can manage. It's not for nothing that everybody is asking that the head of state to come down to the field because we know he's a father. And everybody will listen to him better than any other person.
But we saw the outing of Barrister Agbobala, who indicated that the judiciary has politicized this case. What do you have to say about that?
The judiciary cannot politicize this case because whether you like it or not, the judiciary is managed by the executive wing of the country. The judiciary is not as independent as you can think. But in as much as that way, when once there's a case in court, everybody likes to draw the carpet to his own direction. You fight to draw it to your direction. Every legal means is authorized, is possible. So your legal means are more powerful because when we talk to politics, it can go to the left and it can go to the right. But when it goes to the right, well, it means the left has failed. It goes to the left, it means the right. That's how those things are. But you shouldn't just keep quiet. You have to keep continuing to fight. To do a battle, you think it is a good battle to fight. If you stop, that's where you have a problem.
This is the sentencing of somebody that has been described as a freedom fighter in the English-speaking part of Cameroon. It is also within the context when everybody is preaching peace, wanting for the return to normalcy in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Do you think that it can have an impact on the Anglophone crisis?
No, I don't think so, because, you know, we Anglophones know that we have division of power. We have the executive, the legislative and judiciary, and there are supposed to be checks and balances amongst them. So when once we start by public opinion to determine what the outcome of a case should be, we are all defeating the same purpose that we want. If we want separation of powers, it should be separation of powers. But you see, at the same time, a legal battle in court is like a fight without arms. We only talk and the law. That's all we use. It can never stop at one stage. That's why once you're not happy with court order, you go on appeal. And from the Court of Appeal, you can go to the Supreme Court. From the Supreme Court, you can go to the head of state. From the head of state, you go to the United Nations, and so on and so forth. Legal battles don't have an end until you're satisfied with the decision which is given at the end of the day. But insofar as you're not satisfied, you have a right to continue. You're not supposed to stop when you think that you're down. Continue in matters of the courts. Today you can be down, but tomorrow you're up. That's how it is.
If you're given the power to propose solutions to the Anglophone crisis, to the President of the Republic, who many say has the key or the solution, the final say as far as the crisis is concerned, what are those proposals, Barrister?
First thing, I ask the President to go down to the field. Go and get first-hand information. It's not difficult to organize it. I'll go to Libialem. I'll go to Manu. I'll go to Kambe. It's my country. I'm the President. I'll go everywhere. I'll go to Benin, where it is hot. I go there, I come and say, look, what is the real issue? Tell me. I get first-hand information. That is the first means. That is the first thing that everybody say, hey, there's something going on here. Let's wait and see what will happen. Then secondly, we have to send mediators to the ground to see those who matter in this thing. Because if you talk to the wrong people, you get the wrong solution. If you talk to the right people, you get the right solution. I know for me, personally, I cannot be a mediator because they take me otherwise. But you see, in as much as that, but from where I'm seeing this thing, it is a crisis already. What all of us want now is a solution. I'm not saying that who is stronger, who is weaker. But I say the first thing is the President himself should
has to go to the ground. Thank you so much, Barrister, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
The pleasure was mine.
To our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs until we meet again. Goodbye.
Have known what came over him.
Lui, il nous a fait comprendre qu'il est comme ça. Lui, il ne sait pas ce qui l'arrive.
He adds that it was magical powers he got that is now making him to have the urge.
Que depuis ce temps-là, quand lui, il reste comme ça, quand un truc le prend sur son corps, s'il ne couche pas un enfant, ou bien s'il ne met pas la main dans le vagin d'une petite fille, il ne peut pas, son corps ne peut pas cesser.
As the inhabitants of Mbange continue to regret for misjudging the quietness of Wat, justice has taken its course as Wat is now languishing in the prison.
Hoping that justice, of course, is going to take its course. Now we visit Sabongari, locality in Nwa subdivision, Dongamantung, northwest region of Cameroon, which is plagued with underdevelopment. Kids have not been able to go to school since the socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and the southwest regions of the country escalated. Details in this report.
The government will do something. You want to go back to school.
The request of youths in Sabongari, Nwa subdivision, Dongamantung, northwest region of Cameroon to the President of the Republic. They have not been able to go to school for 2 years now since the Anglophone crisis escalated. A head teacher in one subdivision evaluates the school year so far and says how her institution has been affected by the crisis.
The crisis have actually affected my school this year. In the past, I usually have about close to 400 pupils, 371 actually. But this time around, because of the fear that parents have nurtured, the children have nurtured, a day comes you don't even have a child. Some days you have about 10, some you have 20. The highest number that I recorded this academic year was about 55, which is not up to half the population. I'm not happy with the situation because
she's preoccupied with the future of the children. As the crisis deepens, the more parents would not want to send their children to school.
I just look at the future of the children. I don't know where they are leading to. So this crisis is really worrying in this community. I know out there schools are going up despite the crisis, but here a lot of fear has covered the parents that they don't really have the free mind to send their children out there.
The chiefs and local authorities have sensitized parents, but the situation has not changed.
I've gone to the palace to talk with the chief, the notables, to see how we can sensitize parents, because at times in the churches we find around, they don't even give you a chance to talk about school. So we mostly use the traditional authorities to see how they can follow up in the quarters to bring children. Even you call for PTA meetings, the parents too, they are scared, they are never coming. So,
besides the devastating consequences of the crisis in the school milieu, Sabon Gari is underdeveloped. The road has never been tarred, no electricity in the village, and potable water absent. And of course, in our subsequent newscast, we shall be presenting to you the locality of Sabon Gari and other neighboring villages in Kambe, Ndonga Mantung division of the Northwest region of Cameroon. Now, the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism has tabled to the head of state the desire of the English-speaking population in Cameroon for federalism to be discussed at the national level. It is one of the major fallouts of the Listen to the People meeting.
With that water. And inaugurating this borehole project, Mr. Vo Armstrong, divisional officer from Banga subdivision, called on the entire Kombe community.
The children and the students, the pupils of Faith Foundation must take good care of this project. The population of Quarter 4 must ensure that this project should not fall into disuse. It should be a project that should be permanent. And I want to give a firm warning, and I'm passing it through the chief of Kombe village, that this particular project should never in any single day suffer any malfunction.
To Mr. René Mofo, the president of Semrest, there can never be a meaningful community development without water.
Water for Cameroon is a Dutch phrase meaning water for Cameroon. It is specifically designed to address the basic water needs of the rural people in rural communities in Cameroon. Access to water is not only a basic need of mankind, but a necessity for sustainable development.
And it is their vision to provide water, especially in rural communities.
That is Derek Jato. The reporting will travel to Mbanga, Mongo division of the littoral region of Cameroon. A brief note in sports before we take you to the second part of this newscast. Coton Sports of Garoua has maintained the leadership position on the professional football, Elite 1 football classification table despite their nil-nil draw with the Union Sportive of Douala during the 23 match as far as the League 1 Championship is concerned. For the other matches that took place in stadia across Cameroon, we had Fritio FC defeated Yaoundé Football Club 1-0. Unisports of Bafang bowed to Astro Football Club of Douala 0-2. And for the other matches, they would be taking place, or they took place across the weekend in Cameroon. So far, Coton Sports of Garwa is leading the classification table with 48 points. Second, UMS of Lum, 40 points. 36 points for Young Sports Academy of Bamenda. Those relegated are Colomb with 22, Aigle Royal of Menua 20 points, and Yafut 20 points. They're bringing us to the end of this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Points. Stay with us. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you so much for joining us tonight in this second segment of the news. We have been joined by Barrister at Law, who is a supporter of the CPD and political party, Barrister ACHU, Julius. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi. The pleasure is mine coming here today.
The pleasure is ours as well. Now we are going to be talking about the Bilingualism Commission that has listened to the people of Bamenda Northwest region of Cameroon. Amongst the various proposals that they have taken so far to Yaoundé, to the head of state, to be more precise, is the issues concerning federalism to be examined at the national level. What is your take as far as that is concerned?
My first problem is that I don't know how some document meant for the head of state has now become common knowledge in the country. It means that commission has a problem. Secondly, this is because once the head of state had manifested the good intention of creating such a commission, those who made the laws around it created a commission which is like a bulldog without any teeth in the mouth, because it can only bark and it can never bite. So
Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Tonight, we take you to the Douala 5 subdivision, where a man is under police custody for raping several minors in the said locality. The locality is in Bange, where several kids have been taken to the hospital as a result of the situation. We shall be telling you more in this edition of the news. Also ahead, we tell you about kids in Sabongari, a locality in Nwa subdivision in the Ndonga Mantung Division Northwest region of the country that have not been to school since the Anglophone crisis escalated. They are calling on the head of state to do something about the situation. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the primetime newscast on Equinox Television. The situation has left inhabitants of Mbange in the Douala 5 subdivision in shock and consternation. A man in his 30s that has allegedly raped several minors in the locality. He lured the kids with sweets and other gadgets before getting his way. Sumanjikan Gabriel traveled to that locality here in the economic capital Douala and brought back this report.
Young girls in the Mbange neighborhood of the Douala 5 municipality can now happily run around their vicinity once again. This is because their nightmare is now over after a certain man named Wat, who lived in this room, was arrested recently by the forces of law and order. Wat, who has been like an angel in the Bange neighborhood, was simply a disguise. It was in abandoned houses and uncompleted apartments that Wat had been raping female minors for several years now. And every parent of Wat's victim had a story to tell. My daughter told me that he called her to come get a sweet after she went on an errand. When she came, She dragged her inside and threatened her with a knife. After he was done, he gave her 4 sweets and warned her never to tell anyone. Apart from carrying out his devilish acts in hidden places, he succeeded in getting the kids of his neighbor into his house. Thursday, very early after I left for work, my phone rang and I was informed I had a nearby neighbor who has been sexually harassing young children. When I arrived, my daughter told me that he once called her and they had done it twice, and the second time it was in his own house.
Voici ma porte ici, la voici. Et voici la porte du voisin. Elle est juste face à face avec ma porte.
According to this other neighbor, Watt claimed not to have...
Every student can make it as his own way, as his own creativity. That's what we want to enhance in the student.
The use of these plastics by these students help in creating awareness, as its byproduct is very much in use. The handwork from plastics does not only help in cleaning the streets, but also serves as a means of bringing equality in society.
Secondly, socially, a student from poorer background can be a pencil holder. When he just have a zip, or reuse the plastic bottle to have his pencil holder. The other from rich background will go to the supermarket or hypermarket to buy his. And both in the school, in the classroom, will be pencil holders.
Celebrating the 2018 edition of World Environment Day in Cameroon under the theme Beat Plastic Pollution, everyone is invited to emulate the example of Lyon students in order to fight the pollution in a more creative way.
To make jewelry box, we have a bottle, a small bottle of juice or of water. We cut it round. After that, we make it. We make a design straight. After that, we come the design out. We bend it like that so that it can make a heart. After that, we cut a small one again to make the same thing as hard to make the cover.
It is worthy of note that World Environment Day was set aside by the United Nations in 1974 to encourage countries of the world to protect their environment.
And on the sidelines of the day, we take you now to the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Boya to talk about water scarcity. Children have to cover long distances just to get the precious liquid. Let us take a look at the day-to-day ordeals of young children, especially students and pupils, with Derek Jato.
This is what pupils in most primary schools in Cameroon go through on daily basis at school. Trekking for kilometers, hunting for water at least to quench their thirst. We are in Kombe, a village in Bangasop division, littoral region of the country. It is another day, and the heat of the day will not even stop this class 1 child, Little Favor, and her mate to embark on a close to 1 hour mission for drinking water. Spending quality time they could have been learning, braving their way through thick bushes, and with them, their teacher.
Well, actually, it's not really an easy task, because even all the teachers at times when we come to tap water, it's very strenuous. At times we have to carry water from our houses and bring. And the water that we bring from our houses will not be able to carry all the whole day. So we are really facing a problem of water in this our community. And like you have seen for yourself, to trek from our school to come right to this place is not really an easy thing.
As Cameroon joined the rest of the world to celebrate the World Environment Day, critics say there is a need for authorities to shape the environment to be conducive for these future leaders. Though help recently came to Faith Foundation Nursery and Primary School from Community Empowering Movement for a Responsive Society, SEMRES, an unexpected source. But hundreds of such institutions are still...
That was carried out by the Peter Mafani Musonge-led commission in Bamenda. In the following report, we are going to be questioning whether it would be possible for dialogue on the form of the state to be initiated when the government has always preached decentralization in Cameroon as a solution to the Anglophone crisis. In January 2017, after the government banned the Consortium of Anglophone Civil Society, the government was categorical that the form of the state is not negotiable. The message was re-echoed throughout the Euro amidst persisting calls for dialogue. And on December 31, 2017, the head of state said that the plight of the people has been listened to and that the decentralization process, which has existed for 2 decades, would be hastened. More than 19 months after the Anglophone crisis escalated, the need for a national debate on the federal system of government has been brought before the head of state by government officials. It is one of the proposals presented to the Bilingualism Commission to bring a speedy end to the ongoing Anglophone crisis. The population of Bamenda also wants the President of the Republic to revisit the history of Cameroon and reorganize a frank, sincere and inclusive dialogue between the government and Anglophones, including the diasporans. In the final communique after the Listen to the People mission, the population urged the government to provide an enabling environment for internally displaced and refugees in neighboring Nigeria to safely return to their respective homes. The need for the terrorism law to be repealed, infrastructural development hastened, were equally highlighted. Another proposal taken to Yaoundé is for the President of the Republic to grant amnesty to those in jail or on exile in connection with the crisis and the possibility to Cameroonians abroad to have double nationality. Amongst the dozens of proposals is a clarion call for the head of state to visit the region and address what they described as his children. And the fight against the production, sale and use of non-biodegradable plastic is still to be intensified across the national territory more than 2 years after it was initiated by the government of Cameroon. So far, some students here in the country's economic capital Douala are devising other means to get rid of non-biodegradable plastics as well as bottles. It is on the sidelines of the International Environment Day or the World Environment Day that's been commemorated today across the national territory. Franklin Mwabe tells us more in this report.
Despite the ban placed by government in April 2014 through the Ministry of Environment, Nature Protection and Sustainable Development, banning importation, production and sale of non-biodegradable plastics, variety of these plastics still inundate the country. Control team are unable to win the war against the use of these plastics. While many use plastic bags, nylons and bottles and dispose them just anywhere, students of government bilingual school Leon Brazzaville pick them up, recycle them for decoration and transform them to useful items. During the celebration of World Environment Day, Tuesday, June 5 at Place de Government in Bonanjo, Douala, these students displayed their creativity via the management of non-biodegradable plastics that are harmful to the environment.
We have what we call manual labor, and during this period we exercise the students to valorize those useless plastic bottles. To do it, this is, for example, one of them. You see inside here you have plastic bottle inside, and